The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
This morning, and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, your station for fresh news, smart talk all day. It's Wednesday, the 2nd of August, 2023. And I want you to know that I didn't forget that yesterday was Emancipation Day. I didn't forget. August 1st, Emancipation Day. Mind you, we celebrate
Monday.
On the first Monday
Yes.
of August every year. But yesterday was Emancipation Day, which is why I wanted to have the conversation about the U.S. congressional hearings on unidentified, anomalous, or aerial phenomenon, because here we are trying to free ourselves from our earthly oppressors. And what if? What if? Well, you heard a voice in studio just now. Joining me is Mr. John Pinder from BPSU. I got a little housekeeping to take care of before we get into that conversation. Remember, today is Wednesday. It's a on-the-clock Guardian Radio AM mashup Man Down Wednesday, and so Mr. Nuri is going to be joining us in a moment. To fill that time, let's get started with our Sand Dollar Live Reads. The Central Bank of the Bahamas is pleased to announce the extension of its rebate program to AML at Solomon's Food Stores and Fresh Markets. Beginning this Thursday and running every Thursday and Friday through the month of August, customers using their Sand Dollar-enabled digital wallet at the designated Solomon's locations will have the opportunity to receive instant cash rebates. Tomorrow, Thursday the 3rd, and Friday the 4th of August, Central Bank representatives will be giving out Sand Dollars at Solomon's Yamacraw location. Show your Sand Dollar-enabled digital wallet at the door and receive $20. Spend $18 or more in Sand Dollars at the register and get $5 back when you leave the store. The offer is limited to the first 100 customers to show their Sand Dollar-enabled wallet at each location. One top-up per person, so as many people as possible can experience the Sand Dollar. For more details, visit any of the Sand Dollar social media pages or call 302-9880. Now, quickly on to the on-the-clock Sand Dollar trivia giveaway. Every day for the next 2 months, we'll be giving away Sand Dollars to digital wallet holders. Every week, players can win up to $300 in Sand Dollars. To be eligible to win, you must have a digital wallet and answer the trivia question correctly. When you call in, you must be honest, give the producer your information. You have a wallet, your wallet provider is, your cell phone number, most importantly, and your name. Again, listeners are restricted to one transfer for the duration of the competition. You can only win once. Here is our first question for the day. Here's our first question for the day. Now, if you are answering by text, I need you to enter your Sand Dollar wallet information with the correct answer in the same text. Okay? If you're answering by dollar wallet information in the same text as the answer. Okay, guys, here are the numbers to call. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, 242-300-5720, toll free for people in the Bahamas but not in New Providence. Text line 422-GR96, that's 422-4796, powered by BTC. Here is the first question of the day. Who was the second Governor General of the Bahamas? Who was the second Governor General of the Bahamas? Here we go. Who was the second Governor General of the Bahamas? Mr. Nuri, I see you out there. Is this my guest? That's your guest. But boy, she looked like a good guest. I want to come inside the studio as well. Soon, we can have time. Good morning, Mr. John Pinder from the BPSU.
A pleasant morning, Erin, Greene, and good morning to your listening audience, especially those members of the Bahamas Public Services Union.
Yes, and good morning to the members of the union who I know are listening this morning. I will put no chafing going on. There's no corn in the studio. We could be all right this morning. But I got some questions to ask. But more importantly, I'm interested in hearing what BPSU and what you have to share with us this morning.
Right. Okay, so I'm here this morning to introduce my team for the upcoming BPSU elections.
The elections haven't taken place
No,
yet?
happening in September. It should happen in September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just wanted to introduce our team to the general public and by extension the members of BPSU who haven't seen or heard us as yet, and to tell them what our plans are for the first 3 years in office.
All right, a little bit of campaigning.
Yes.
Who is the other team? Let's start there.
I guess it's the incumbent. He hasn't put a team on us yet, but I know there's another team, what they call a Hammer team.
Okay, so basically three entities, will be competing for
It should be the
leadership.
incumbent team, the Hammer team, and the VK team.
Oh man, listen, that sounds healthy.
Yes.
I like that. It's a great model. Okay, so what's the name of your team?
VK.
Okay.
VK. I had that team for the 5 consecutive years I won as president. My team is the VK team. So if it don't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke.
All right, members are, and then let's get into the issues.
So first of all, my name is John Pinder. I'm vying for the position of president.
Yeah.
My executive vice president candidate would be Ms. Lisa Boleg. She's a social worker at the Department of Social Services.
Okay.
Ms. Belinda Chipman, who's at National Security. She'll be vying for vice president. Mr. Michael Blatch, he's the Northern Region vice president candidate. He's a member of staff at the Ministry of Housing in Grand Bahama. Mm-hmm. Deborah Folks will be vying for the position of Secretary General. She is president of the Public Service. And,
Okay.
She's one of those persons that we expect to do very well as relates to helping with some of the issues that civil servants are faced with. She knows the system pretty good. Mr. Livingston Ferguson, he's a superintendent at Customs. He'll be vying for the position of Treasurer.
Okay.
And we have a lot of confidence in his ability to help us financially with budgeting and ensuring that the members learn to even do their own personal budget and good investments for the union. Ms. Nicole Curry is running for the position of Assistant Secretary General. My 3 trustees are Stephanie Brannon, that's your friend, Peter Alton, and Mr. Eldon Johnson.
Okay.
Eldon Johnson is at Ministry of Works, Peter is at the Airport Authority, and Stephanie is at PMH, the labs.
Okay, awesome. Solid members of the civil service working in various.
Yeah.
I like the broad range
Right.
of candidates, right?
Yes.
Representing various aspects of the civil service and entities.
Right.
A great way to ensure that issues are definitely on the table and that people aren't competing for attention to their issues. Okay, so let's get to your platform. What is the We Care team bringing to the BPSU and to the civil service, the public service, and the country at large?
Okay, so our theme is a new vision for the Bahamas Public Services Union / and the public service. Because, in order for us to get anything through the public service, for the BPSU, got to go through the public service. You got to negotiate with your partnership in the public service, the government itself. So, canvassing support, we recognize that the union is faced with some financial challenges, in spite of the fact that the president is now trying to paint up the buildings and do some repairs to putting a bandit on something that needs a major surgery. Tell you might is eating the building on Wolf Road. The roof is leaking. We need to change that whole roof. But anyway, he's putting some cosmetic work on it, I guess, to appease the members for elections, even though members are meeting me in the food store and all over New Providence when they see me complaining about getting little small pension checks that are bouncing, $60 checks that are bouncing. But I guess to try to make himself look good, he's putting the money into the building. And persons are claiming that they can't get their medical claims paid. But be that as it may. We think the answer to that is to try to get agency shop. That would certainly bring us quite a bit of revenue. Agency shop speaks to those persons who are part of the bargaining unit, but doesn't pay union dues, but they benefit from all the negotiations, paying 90% of those dues to the union. This is financially, that's at least 11,000 person that should be able to pay us $20.50. I think that puts us in good standing with the banks, and certainly get us out of some of the debt that we're in.
Now, let's stick a pin there. How can a union get into debt?
Well, while I was president, I think the biggest issue we face with financially would be the medical plan. When I was president, we had one claim for $333,000, one claim. What I tried to do when I was president was to keep the small claims current and big claims, pay something on them and negotiate them and try to get discounts on them. But that was your biggest challenge. That's, even though the medical plan brings in the most funds, it certainly also has the largest expenses. We try to treat our staff members like the public service, so we give them regular increments, yearly increments. We give them increases in salary when necessary, and they get vacation pay and that sort of thing. And so it is a costly operation running a union.
Yes, absolutely. Quick question in terms of your platform. If we're taking in the most amount of money in this sort of medical plan, but we're paying out the most amount of money, what internal steps does the union have, or does your team, We Care, have to shift the personal and professional culture of members of the union to drive towards a healthier individual and collective culture in the aims of driving those payouts down?
Very good. So part of our platform speaks to us negotiating with the government for spaces for certain things. For example, when I was president again, I had asked all the government agencies that had these large cafeterias and lunch areas that they should allow the staff members to bring the work from school.
Yeah.
And we was prepared to hire one or two retired teachers or some professional person to help the kids with their homework and to kind of babysit them for the members while they still at work. In addition to that, we wanted to talk about exercise equipment or even just somebody teach aerobics.
Yeah.
So oftentimes, members, when they get off from work, because they had to dash home and keep their eyes on the children, they don't find themselves in a position to even get to regular exercising. We always borrowed a statement from Winston Coakley when he was the Minister of Health.
Yeah.
He said the health of the nation is the wealth of the nation.
Absolutely.
We believe a healthy workforce is more productive. And so what we wanted to do is, while the kids are in some cafeteria or some space that's provided for by the employer, that even when they get off at 5 o'clock, they can exercise for an hour or so before they go home.
Right.
Because the kids are still being monitored,
Right.
And so that's one thing you want to do. We also wanted to speak about dieting.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But let's stick a pin for a second. I got a caller on the line,
Okay.
and I think they called to answer this trivia question. Again, the trivia question is: Who was the second Governor General of the Bahamas? Good morning, caller. You're on the clock.
Hi, is it the Milo Butler?
It is Sir Milo Butler. Now, sir, do you have a wallet, a digital wallet?
Yeah.
Okay, and you gave the producer your wallet information and your
Yeah.
cell phone number.
Uh-huh.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to explain that answer?
Yeah, going to right now because I was about to say, how many people knew that Sir Milo Butler is the second Governor General of the Bahamas? Now, how many people thought he was the first Governor General of the Bahamas? I can tell you all a little secret. I thought he was the first. It's okay. Dear QC, we still got a couple things to work on. I know you all improved that by now. You comment, QC comment, madam? Well, then you must introduce yourself right now. Good morning. We have another guest joining us in studio. Please speak directly into the mic. You can pick it up. Yes. There you go.
A pleasant good morning everyone. I'm blessed to be here today. My name is Belinda Chipman, and I am here representing the We Care team along with my president, Mr. John Pinder. I'm running for the position of vice president.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Pinder, you knew that Samilo Butler was the second.
After I, be honest with you, at my mature age and getting the history,
Right.
you found out that it was, get the white guy. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, don't say it,
Okay.
because
Well, another trivia.
I got another question. Let me throw this question out right now. Since we have now learned two very important Bahamian facts. First, Nassau is the capital of the Bahamas. The first Governor General of the Bahamas. This is our question for the day. Second question for the day. If Samilo Butler is the second Governor General of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, then who is the first Governor General of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas? The numbers to call 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, 242-300-5720 for people in the Bahamas, but not in New Providence. I see I have a caller right now. Dear texter, you have to include your digital wallet information in the text with the correct answer. But thank you very much, because you always texting, so I'm not mad at you. Producer, we waiting on a trivia caller? Okay. Madam, introduce yourself again.
All right, I'm Belinda Chipman with the We Care team. We are vying for candidacy for the Bahamas Public Services Union in this upcoming election to be set by the existing president. And soon as it's set, we're ready. And my name is Belinda, and I am running for vice president with Mr. John Pinder and the team.
Absolutely. We were just talking about the platform, looking at a specific issue. I had asked a question, how do unions lose money?
Oh, wow.
What I found
Good
interesting
question.
was the response to that question was that the medical plan seems to be the space where most monies are being paid out. From your perspective, how can the union help to shift the culture within the civil service to make it a healthier service, a healthier collection of workers?
Okay, well, before I tip in on that first one,
Yeah.
How is the union losing money?
Yeah.
Well, first to start it off with is bad management. We want to make sure that whoever is there is managing whatever existing funds are there are being managed properly. And then, of course, there are entities within the union that can make money. And so if we don't get them up and running to make money and, of course, increase membership, then the union will continue to lose membership.
Hold on, so the BPSU can operate income-generating mechanisms arising from out of the union
Itself,
space?
yes.
Certainly, we have a service station that we used to operate. We used to sell to our members 10 cents less than the general public. We had challenges with members participating in it, though. They didn't patronize it the way they should have, but it also was an incentive to draw membership.
Yes.
And we had several places that they could have gone to and get discounts, but the revenue came mostly from rental properties. Then we had some issues with our East Street South property, where the ceiling was falling down, so we had to change from residential. And because it's in such a commercial area, we tried to commercialize it.
Yeah.
I had a proposal from a local university that wanted to use the whole compound for campus. We started doing the renovations, but they lost their accreditation. Then a school approached us, but around the same time the school approached us for the compound, I was the Mitten office to go back to the government. And the present administration, they didn't want to do business
Carried
with
on.
the school, so it sat there for many years.
Maybe the question is the union members don't understand the potential.
Not the members.
The executive team makes the
executive
decision.
management,
Right.
yes.
Okay, so what is? Oh, wow. Anyway, let's go on. I'm just very excited about that space. And so, what are your plans? Do you plan to reignite or to create new income-generating mechanisms as a part of your platform?
Certainly. One of the good thing about having Miss Chipman on the team, we want to now start to tap into the orange economy. You know, her background is entertainment and all the rest of that, even though
Yes, yes.
that's her background. We want to tap into that. We believe we have to start to do some things. The government has that shady street and culture thing, so
Yes.
they're rotting it. But that's cause there be some orange economy activities on a weekly basis.
Absolutely. Before I throw this idea out there, let me throw out or extend an invitation to the other teams of candidates running
Right.
to reach out to me. I have the We Care team on. I'd love to have your teams on as well to hear your ideas and juxtapose them to the We Care team's ideas. I want to say that before I say this. The Bahamas, the new UAB, United Artists Bahamas, that was spearheaded, the formation was spearheaded by Link Scavella, is very interested in these ideas as well, looking for partners to use the orange economy to generate income collectively and individually for the members of the union and for Bahamians generally. I see, producer, we got a potential caller there. Tell them they can't look for their information while we're on air. They may have to go to their wallet and call us back with the right information. I see I've got a text here. Texter, I need more than just your cell phone number. I already have that. The text ending in 0500. I also need you to include your wallet information. No, Woods Rogers was not the first Governor General.
He was not necessarily a governor. He was
was
a
a
de facto Providence only. At the time he was governor, we already had a governor, royal governor, living in Hab Island. Just for general information. Sorry.
Oh, he just come touch the ground in Nassau and assume
I'm
he
claiming
himself.
I in charge. Pirates.
I's the captain now.
I's the captain. I's the pirate.
I got it. I got it. Okay, let's get back to our discussion.
Okay,
Ms.
so-
Chipman.
So to add to what Mr. Pinder had said, there is so much out there that we can do, not just as a union, but as a Bahamas, to develop and increase the income, the revenue that's coming in, whether it's through tourism dollar. But, you know, the entertainment business has been a business that has been kind of swept to the side and not appreciated. But it ties so directly into our culture that we really shouldn't, because it really is who we are. The dance, the heritage, the food, the beautiful costumes, the Gumbe, like, you know, Mitzi Chipman is now doing the Gumbe Festival. So these are things that are tied to our heritage and our culture. And so we as the union want to tap into all areas, the academics, the health and wellness of our nation, all of the things that relate to a whole man, a holistic approach to not just running a union, but dealing with other issues and concerns that a union member might have.
Let me make sure, because you're saying invite those other teams, last time I spoke to an audience, I was being recorded, so let me make sure I send all our stuff out there. So you hear it, you know, I don't want them thinking it's their idea. Let me make sure I give you all I did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me do it real quickly.
Yes,
Because if I'm
yes.
sitting here and say, oh, he didn't say that, so we can say that. So the first thing we do is the agency shop. The second thing we want to deal with is to cause the government to ensure that all persons who will be involved in digitization of the public service get the necessary training. There's some persons who are not getting training. Everything needs to receive that training.
Okay, all right. I mean, this is very, very important. It's extremely important.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a separate discussion. Send me some documentary on that so I could read and understand that. Awesome.
Very good. And then we talk about remote work. Now, during the pandemic, we had a lot of remote work in the public service. Where it's applicable, we believe the government should institute that again. What it does, it does not only bears a less stress on our members, but oftentimes a number of them who are not in middle management have to sign a register. Still signing a register in this day and time. And once they get away after 9:05, they're considered late. They have the 5 minutes grace period. So we believe that if they do this remote work and they can sign online to show that they're online and they start to do their work, they get assignments that they can do from home. It does two things. It's less finance on them and all this gas increase and all this electricity increase and all these other increases. If they don't have to get it very more on the eye end, that's less electricity bill for them. It's less expense on the government burning electricity because they're also full of people. And by extension, the whole public, the society will benefit because those guys who do the intrusion now, if they see cars from people home during the day, it's a deterrent.
Yeah.
And so we believe even from a social aspect, it's a good thing to have the remote way going on.
Now, does that include people who want to be domiciled in the family island or resident in the family island and can do the vast majority of their work from that location?
Right. When we negotiate an industrial agreement, that's very important, but I'm glad you raised that. It's for the entire public service. Throughout my campaign, traveling to the family islands, you'll swear that there are 2 industrial agreements, one for the family islands and one for Nassau. There is one industrial agreement, and that governs the entire public service. It was signed between the Bahamas government and the Bahamas Public Services Union. The next thing we want to speak to is the way promotions are done in the public service. We want the government to use a task force style of dealing with promotions in the public service. Now, I got this idea from when I was president. We wanted to get rid of the D scales, the data processing scale, and introduce a D scale. And we did a task force way, and in 6 to 8 weeks, in a couple of months, we had it finished, completed. Because when you use a task force for promotions, you get representation from finance, who have to make sure money is there. You get representation from the public service to make sure due diligence is properly done. Public Service Commission will have to sign off on it, and the department that you're dealing with. The union also wants to be involved in that. So if any information is missing from a member, we can call them right away and call them to provide that information so their motions will be more timely.
Okay, stick a pin for me. I got a caller on the line. Good morning, caller. You're on the clock.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. You called to answer the trivia.
Was it Sir Paul Rose?
No, it wasn't Sir Paul Rule.
Okay.
Thank you very much for trying. Sorry for the long wait, producer. Let's go to this next call. Let's see if it's a trivia. Good morning, caller. You calling to answer the trivia?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Okay, now listen, if you get the question correct, you got to hold on, and I got to transfer you back to my producer, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so give me your answer.
My answer is Sir John Paul.
Yes, Sir John Paul was the first Governor General of the Bahamas. Here's a bonus question for you. Do you know how it is that Sir John Paul became the first Governor of the Bahamas?
No, he took it.
Oh, no, ma'am.
You don't? Well, where you find the answer from? Because the answer to the second part of the question is part of the answer to the first question.
Somebody died?
No. That's usually how it happens, but not in this instance. I want to thank you very, very much. Now, don't go anywhere. Producer, please take the call. You have a digital wallet, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The producer is going to, I'm going to transfer you back to the producer. Give him your cell phone number, your wallet provider, right? And your custom name if you have it on hand. Now, somebody, technically, something did die. There was a death. The old Bahamas died.
Oh, Lord.
And the new Bahamas was born.
Oh.
But Sir John Paul was the last royal governor.
Right.
And so it's like, wait, listen.
Let me just slide in here.
Listen, here's what we're going to need you to do. Just hold on.
Right.
We're just going to need you to hold this position for a couple of minutes. Right. And the boy's like, listen, I have plans. I was going to the Bahamas for vacation. And it's like, no, 2 minutes. And then, so he was the last royal governor. He becomes the first Governor General. And then Sir Milo Butler is appointed Mr. Nuri on what day? I think it's August 1st. I think it's August 1st. He left his home on Ernst Street in the Pond and took residence at Mount Fitzwilliam.
Okay. One of the issues was we needed someone to swear in
The Governor General,
the
right.
Prime Minister for that day.
Yeah.
And so John Paul was there to swear in
Yeah.
the new Prime Minister.
See, sometimes you get dead excited.
He needed a Governor General there.
Right.
Yeah.
Which was Prime Minister?
The Prime Minister was Sir Lyndon at the time.
Of course. There
So you
go.
needed, John Paul was there to swear him in, and then we get a new
All right.
Governor
Going
General
from
after
Premier to Prime Minister.
Now, I have a political position. It's my personal position. I think we should entrench it in national governance. You can't be in the Senate of the House of Parliament. You can't be in the upper house of the House if you don't know why they can't find Jerry Roca in town.
Man, listen.
It's very simple.
I'll give you another question on what age a person needs to be in order to be a senator.
Well, see,
Obama.
that's folded
You
in.
need to have a particular age.
That's implied, right? If you don't,
There is an age, I think.
yeah, if you don't have sufficient historic and cultural knowledge and context to understand the implications of the decisions that you're making in the upper house, you're not fit for that function. The function is for elder statesmen who have a significant understanding, a wealth of knowledge about how the Bahamas has developed to the point where we are right now, right, when you were serving as senator. So I say all of that to say this. How important to BPSU leadership is this institutional knowledge, and how does a new candidate, a new member of the union space, prepare themselves for this role, and what functions or what is We Care providing for its candidates to prepare them for this role?
So funny thing about it, we used to have a training session for all of our shop stewards even before they are appointed. I don't know if that happens. We used to have regular shop steward meetings, at least once a month meetings. We even had tied into the umbrella organization, the National Congress of Trade Unions had a labor college. So we used to send all the shop stewards there for training. And
Hold on, a labor college?
Yeah, we had a labor college, yeah, National Congress of Trade Unions. It was headed by Jennifer Isaac Dotson.
Ms. Dotson, I know you're busy working in sports, but we may need you back in the union space.
And to add to what Mr. Pinder said, it is our duty and responsibility as a trade unionist, as anything else, like you just said. If I want to get involved in politics and if I want to get involved in anything, I believe I should apprise myself of the information on it. So our team, what we do is in our meetings, we share things. Mr. Pinder ensured that each of us got the Constitution, so we have something to refer to. Of course, there are things that you'll never learn everything in one day, but then we have the master print right here in Mr. Pinder where we could ask him questions and find things out that we need to know. But as it stands to this, we're training and we're continually training, and in our mandate, we have it for training for public service members as well as executives on all levels.
Because I think one of the biggest obstacles to enhancement and continued growth of the public service is the inability to retain institutional knowledge, right? And an inability to sort of parse what can be public, and what can't be public, and a mechanism to ensure that all civil servants have an understanding of the internal politics, not politics F&M, PLP, but the internal workings of the space that they work in, so that they can perform as more efficient members of the public service.
One of the things we want to be able to say to the government is some agency shop money would definitely go on training. It's very important. I see a lot of the trade union leaders going to the government agencies, and they're really leaving there's a brain drain on experienced leadership in the trade union movement right now. And so that's why it's important for us to make sure places are properly trained and there's a mechanism or somewhere where they can go to receive training. So we're definitely going to put a lot of emphasis on training to ensure that our members are
Mr. Pinder,
knowledgeable.
what would you answer to the criticism that you already had your chance at leadership? You're already being president of the union. Why not give space, give your expertise else to be president of the
Very
union?
good. 90% of both teams, even incumbent teams, had come up under my leadership and were trained. A lot of people accuse me of the bad way in which the union is being run now because the guy who is the president, Mr. Ferguson, was my executive vice president. And I have to always remind him that I cannot blame Perry Christie. I cannot blame Lyndon Pinder for how Perry Christie turned out. I cannot blame Hewitt Ingram for how Hewitt Minutes turned out. You would hope that these guys, but everybody has their own style of way of doing business. Okay? Yes, I had my time. I was never beaten. I ran for 5 consecutive times as president of the union. So I thought it was wise to go back to the public service, get my pension, let somebody else get a chance to do it. Unfortunately, the union, based on the members' response to us, is in critical condition, and they think they need a major experienced surgeon to get it back breathing on its own again. So that's why I put this good medical team together, I want to call them, and we think we're able to get the union breathing on its own again. Yes, it's always good to have succession training, but people have to be available and understand the sacrifice of the trade union movement itself to really want to get that training. Oftentimes people just go after it because they think there's a salary involved. You have to be able to make those sacrifices. And so I have labor, I'm even more equipped, you see? So it ain't have nothing to do with the age as the numbers. It has to do with your ability to train. You cannot just grab a guy. Right now, I told the other team, it's like taking a constable this morning and go send to be commissioner of police. You got to have some experience, some training, or some academic qualification, something. You can't just grab him because he's young. Give the young person a chance. You got to be equipped.
Absolutely. So I got a question, quick question. You don't have to answer it right away. I'm going to ask the question, and then maybe we continue the list of items on your platform. The question is, how does the union have a journal, like a quarterly review where public service members are able to document their expertise, historic expertise, or expertise in an expanding space or role in the public service? Do you have a quarterly journal where public service members can document what they do? And is this type of union different from other unions? Can this union produce something like that in terms of the confidentiality concerns and protocols involved in being a part of the public service?
So normally what happens is every union is supposed to have shop stewards.
Right.
Their responsibility is to sell the union to the new member or the non-union members, and by extension, they're trained to deal with grievances.
Uh-huh.
So normally what happens is you depend on those shop stewards to bring you the concern, to tell you about what is lacking, what information is lacking in that department, and through regular shop steward meetings, where it's necessary, you put on workshops. I used to have regular workshops. As a matter of fact, I used to have a whole week of conference, so to speak, leading up to the general AGM, just so members get an opportunity to sit in a forum and be educated on what's happening with the union. So I had something in place when I was president. I can't say what this administration is doing. I haven't seen anything.
All right, so it's thing in my head, right? The constant cry that there are too many civil servants, too many people in the public service. That a part of the solution to better governance is to reduce the amount of people in the civil service, right? What role can the union play in making this force, because that's what it is, right? It's the king's army, essentially. What role can the union play in making the force more efficient and more effective numbers?
Okay. So the first thing happened, I've been asking for this my whole term as president, my whole state.
Yeah.
That the public need to do a human resource audit. Let me tell you what happens. So a guy wants a job in the government, public service. He has a master's degree. They say, boy, ain't no vacancy. We'll be getting ready to recruit some custom officers or some immigration officers. Why don't you apply for that? They apply for it. Now they're sitting there, they're going through the training, they're now a custom officer, and they start at the bottom of the rank, in spite of them having a master's or some BA degree. Mm-hmm. Then they get confused or frustrated because the people who are now their seniors, they're much more qualified than they are. And in some instances, they outperform these people. But it's like a toll line system. You can't supersede people unless there's reason for it or the rest of that. And then they start looking at their salary basis their qualifications. And they saw other persons in other government agencies with a lower rank, no qualifications, and making more money than them. So they start to get frustrated. What the government doesn't do is this. Okay, I'm going to bring you in as a immigration or custom officer because you have a master's degree and you wanted a job. Now you have a master's degree in accounting. And the auditor general needs some auditors. Rather than me advertising for accountings from the general public that come there, I should go through my list of persons. You know what? John Doe has a master's in custom. Follow him if he wishes to be transferred to the auditor general's department or to the treasury department. We don't do that. Yeah. So people get frustrated, and this leads to
I had a plan.
bad performance.
I've thrown it out on the airwaves a couple of times. I can throw it out again right now, right? If I were in charge of the public service, if I were the prime minister, if I was king of the Bahamas.
For a day?
Forever. You think give it to me for one day, see how long it can last. You think I turn in the key back here? I would do a entire service aptitude assessment.
That's the audit.
Right, the audit.
Now, yes.
Let people state, this is what I'd like to do. This is what my qualifications are. We do the assessment. At the end of the day, we say, well, listen, with your qualifications, your record, right, and the test, these are the areas that we are prepared to, A, transition you to, B, train you in to be in that space. I would take roughly 60 to 75% of the public service, and put them in agriculture and marine and aquaculture. Now, before everybody start thinking that means they got to go be a farmer, come on. Agriculture and aquaculture is far broader than just putting your hand in sand and putting your hand in soil. I would retrain, right, and put people where they want to be, but take 60 to 75% and transition them to a agriculture, aquaculture space, because we had 5 million tourists visit our shores between January, I think, and the end of June or the middle of July this year. People we could be feeding, right? Anyway, that's my plan. I think that people would be happier. I think the audit will result in happier public service workers, which will mean a more efficient and effective public service.
The second thing that's
You sound like you're running Erin. Erin, I don't know. Should we say Erin for prime minister, for governors?
Governor of Gneps. But listen, I got a call on the line. Let's stick a pin for a second. Good morning, caller. You're on the clock.
Hi, Miss Erin. How are you? I love you so much. I listen to your talk show every morning. You are an amazing young lady.
Thank you so much. Thank you, especially for the young part. That is what we appreciating this morning, ma'am. How you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Are you still accepting the answer for the first governor general?
No, I'll accept it, but we already got a winner. Tell me your answer.
Well, it's Sir John Paul.
Yes, it is Sir John Paul.
Yes.
I mean,
Well, thank you. Keep up the great work.
absolutely. Thank you very much.
You
When
are
did
a
you?
mentor to many young ladies.
Absolutely. When did you first learn that Sir John Paul was the first Governor General of the Bahamas?
Just recently, I actually thought it was Sir Milo Butler.
Yes, me too. I'll say that. Me too. Thank you so much, eh?
Thank you, Erin. Take care. Bye.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful day.
I think the trick to that question used to be, who's the first Bahamian Governor General?
Yes, it's different ones. That's what when I do
Bahamian
trivia.
governor. So that's why a lot of people get it wrong. So Milo was
Yeah.
the first Bahamian,
Bahamian
Governor
governor.
General.
Listen, for the independence celebrations, I was hoping that we would have hosted a game called Telegram Archipelago Edition, where we send a message from the northernmost island, and we send it down by word of mouth. You got to go to the boat captain and the pilot and
is
see
awesome.
what the message
So
turned
when it reaches-
when it reached the most
I
southern
love
tip.
it.
Because it's somewhere in the passing on of the message
Yeah,
that
it's
word,
right.
and we didn't realize how important that word was in history. Okay, so let's get back. We got a few minutes left. Let's get back to the platform.
Yeah. So you were talking about the public service, my way, being oversized.
Yes.
And so I was saying technology is also going to cause the public service to have to reduce.
Right, so stick a pin.
Yeah.
Has your team, the We Care team, produced a position paper on the introduction of AI across the board in the Bahamas, but particularly in spaces that are considered tourist-centered spaces?
Yeah.
Well, AI is inevitable, as we know. It's taking us by storm, as any new modern technology or anything that would happen. One of the things that, for me, because I'm very old-fashioned in a lot of my thinking and ways, I never like to eradicate one thing and bring something new. I like to do both. Like people trying to go cashless. I go to the bank and I can't get money. I am totally frustrated because I expect when you say bank, I'm hearing cash and money. And so I never want to go, not just that, I think of all the different demographics of citizenry who would want to use these facilities. And so some might be able to do the technology and want that, but some are always going to be like that. So as we introduce AI or anything of that sort, I feel like we have to consider the demographics, all the citizenry in the different family islands locally and here, right? And so what would this grouping, business persons might be interested in that because they want to cut down, spending on their staffing and things like that. But then another grouping might not be into that. So I think that everything that we do, we shouldn't just push it on persons. We should bring it in if we have agreed to it, whoever the persons are that's relevant. And if we are agreeing to it, then listen, we're going to have both because it's necessary to go cashless. It's necessary to trade in gold. It's necessary to do whatever. But then there's still people who Mama want to use cash and take it out of her bosom and use it in the,
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking one of the things that you're going to need cash for is public transportation.
Yeah.
Does the BPSU still maintain a transportation system for its members? And is it interested in reigniting a transportation system that could also be accessible to the public, A, but if not the broader public, to senior citizens, B?
We do.
Hopefully, we'll get other unions to partnership with us, form a partnership with us to cause things because it helps. It helps our members be able to get to work in a more timely fashion, and it helps them. Sometimes you get able to drive, and if you can get a reliable bus service or transportation to get to work that's reliable, you may leave your vehicle home, and so you don't have the frustration of trying to find parking when you get away, which is a very, very vexing situation for the public servant. A lot of servants can't find parking, and they'll get to wait 2 minutes to 9 and have a cycle for 7, 8 minutes trying to find a parking. Then they get tired. As far as the supervisor can say, you didn't catch the line, you're late. So sometimes they'll block up the driveway, park right in the middle of the driveway,
just to touch that pen on that paper.
Get their name in the book before 9:05. So a lot of things, this remote work could solve a lot of problems for the government.
And in terms of the the request for increases in salaries, right? A lot of people are unable to manage budgets that they shouldn't have. A lot of people don't need a car. A lot of families are prepared, particularly men, are prepared to let the wife take the car. And if there is another transportation option available to them, they'll take it, like catching the jitney or making their way to a point where they could catch a ride.
So one of my other points is open salary scale and extended salaries. Okay. So what happens now is if you work in the public service, you're paid in a salary scale. When you reach the max of that salary scale, if you have not received a promotion to go into the next salary scale, you're stuck there until you get a promotion. But meanwhile, you're performing outstanding performance and giving above average performance, and you're going beyond the call of duty. But you're frustrated because me who's twiddling my thumbs can get my increment at the end of the year with just a average performance, and you, for behaving time, busting your hip trying to do the best you can for the department. Well, we believe in open salary scales. We believe as long as the person meets the criteria for an increment, they should receive it. So that when the promotion comes around,
what would prevent someone who meets the criteria from not receiving the increment, though?
Because they're the masters out of that salary scale.
Yeah,
even though I left an industrial agreement that you should only lose it once. If you get 2 above average performance and you're the master of your salary scale, they're supposed to pay you increment in the form of a lump sum payment. I left that in an industrial agreement before I left the union. I hope that is still there. And I hope persons are taking advantage of that. Because a lot of times they don't know the union does some good things for them. I can certainly say under my leadership, we put some very good things in the industrial agreement for them.
Okay, a quick question before we go. The folklore is that you get a good government job because you can never get fired from a good government job, right? That's what the talks is. We know that that's not the absolute truth, right? We Care team, how are you going to compel your members to be disciplined and to discipline themselves and to moderate their behavior? Or how will you moderate the behavior of your members through disciplinary measures in order to create a more effective, efficient, and a space and service, and to promote integrity and loyalty and commitment to the main thrust of the service, which arguably is either serving the king or serving the people of the Bahamas. How does the We Care team plan on or until it can compel its members to moderate their behavior while on the job and while off the job? And is that a function you think that the union should have?
Yes.
The government signed its first industrial agreement under my leadership as president of the union. First industrial agreement in 2005. Perry Christie was the then prime minister. In that industrial agreement, it was the first time we put minor and major breaches and penalties. And so that notion about civil servants can't be fired, that's not so.
Yeah.
You can be fired. There are major breaches that have penalties that leads to dismissal. Yeah. So that's already in place. What happened is, though, because a number of these permanent secretaries at that time when the public service for so many years used to general orders. They felt as though the industrial agreement was taking some power away from them. And so a lot of them refused to familiarize themselves with the industrial agreement. And then the government was supposed to come with a new public service act to bring the act in line with the industrial agreement.
So how is the BPSU and the leadership in the ministry responsible for the public service working to ensure that the industrial agreements align with, they are in alignment with general orders, and just like how new legislation can replace the penal code, right? Are you working with the leadership of the ministry to ensure that both members of the public service and members of the public understand how the industrial relations agreement aligns with or complements what exists in general orders?
So
For instance, a lot of people, particularly after the last election, are claiming victimization. But I don't think, right, in many facets, but general orders say that a civil servant should never let it be known what their political affiliation is to prevent victimization. But you hear members of the civil service saying things like, I have a right to wear my colors. I have a right to display my political affiliation, that they don't understand the general orders and how they align with new industrial agreements.
No, actually what happened is, see, the Constitution trumps general orders or any law. The Constitution gives you the freedom to express. And so if I'm in a PLP or F&M t-shirt or DNA t-shirt, I express and I can express.
Boy,
it gives you the freedom to express.
Maybe not on the job. Well,
what a controversial sort of place to end the show. This is a point not seen, because now I got to invite you back because we got to flesh this out. And maybe I can bring some representatives from other stakeholders in the conversation.
But I'll add something to you real quick. People understand. Those top appointments in government are all political appointments. And that's why you see in the government change, a group of permanent secretaries were retired. The government changed, one government bring them back, next government bring them back. So once you were appointed by me, it's perceived that you're F&M or PLP.
Ms. Chipman, this is too controversial. The last word?
Well,
I mean, it's very controversial.
It is very controversial, and I'll just tip back and then stop. But you talked about the public service and us partnering. This is what we want. We want peaceful negotiations, partnerships with the government to ensure that public servants get the best. And we are here with a serious minded crew of persons who are ready to serve and ready to go. And we want them to vote for us. You don't ask, you don't get. So we're asking you to support us so that we can bring some form of normalcy back to the Public Service Union.
All right, Mr.
We
Pender,
Care team.
Please link me with the other team so that all four of us could have this discussion, because we got to
that'd be good, yeah.
We got to get deeper into it.
Bring them on. Let's bring all us together,
Other
yeah.
two teams.
Yes.
So you can find separate the sheep from goat. Then you'll see why at my age, with my experience, why I have to take the union back over.
But we can see that. I like it when you invite yourself back for the challenge, and sir. You guys have a great day. This is the We Care team from the BPSU upcoming election, the candidates in the upcoming election. I'm all out of time. We got 2 winners today. Thank you to follow the rules to the letter, to the T. You ain't no civil servant. You can't just do what you want. Have a great day, Bahamas. Guardian Radio AM is up next with C.A. Nuri.
9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.